This is a picture of the top 3 bodybuilders in the world according to the most recent Mr. Olympia event. And this is a picture including the big absentee at the event, Nick Walker. And this is the video footage of that Olympia first call out, including the most recent version of Nick from the New York Pro. This was hard to do and it took a lot of fucking time to get this result. You know why I did it? Because I love it. I love bodybuilding and I love to give you guys what you don't know you want to see until you see it on this channel. In the first part of this video, I will show you the work I put in to get to this nice edit, to give you guys a better understanding of how much time and effort some of these things require. But if you want to skip to the actual comparison in the second part of the video, feel free to use the timestamps below. Okay, so how did I do this? The original video is in the description. It was posted on the NPC News Online YouTube channel. The footage was of great quality, but the camera was not stabilized. It was all shaky and had constant zoom-ins and outs, which was a problem for the purpose of this video. I manually stabilized it, editing almost frame by frame to achieve this level of stabilization. And then I needed the extra stage space for the extra athlete. From the same footage, I captured a moment with this side of the stage when it was empty before the call out was called on the stage. I stabilized that as well and I linked these two videos together. Then I synchronized the video so that Samson, Derek and Hadi would hit all the mandatories at the same time according to my Supersetman Archive rules. If you don't know what that is, it's an extra channel of mine where I upload daily routines with bodybuilders hitting the 8 mandatories in perfect sync with any other video on the channel. So when you put together any videos, they will be in perfect sync hitting the 8 mandatories. Anybody can download and use this for their own comparisons. The only thing I expect in return is a mention of my contribution because these things take time. And by the way, I have another channel called Supersetman Blitz Matchup where I do quick comparisons in 1 minute or so for people who don't have time to watch 5 or 10 minutes of a comparison but still want to see my take on it. Find links for both of these 2 new channels of mine in the description. I already had Nick Walker at the 2024 New York Pro on the Supersetman Archive channel, and next I needed to crop the background and paste it on my edited Olympia first call out, adjust the scaling and lighting, and voila. This is how Nick Walker would have looked on the Olympia stage last year potentially. Next, I want to establish with you guys what place he would have finished if he came in similar shape. I'm convinced he wouldn't have dropped lower than 4th. Front double biceps. We are going to go through all the mandatories. For each mandatory, I'm gonna establish a top 2 who fight for 1st and the last 2 who fight for 3rd. I'm gonna consider the official result as correct, meaning Derek 1st, Hadi 2nd and Samson 3rd overall. At the end of the video, I'm gonna let you know where I would have Nick if he presented this physique back in November at the Olympia. So in the front double biceps, Nick is definitely fighting to avoid last in my opinion. I mean, he has the best guns, but it's pretty obvious he's the anomaly on stage, with the other 3 looking nice and aesthetic. And I'm saying this only because I believe Nick's midsection at the New York Pro was not as good as in some past showings. Anyway, in this pose, I have Derek and Hadi fighting for 1st with Derek winning, and Nick and Samson fighting for 3rd with Nick losing actually. Nick takes last in this first pose. Next is the front lat spread pose, and I see Hadi and Samson this time fighting for 1st with Hadi having the upper hand. Nick fights Derek to avoid last place, and despite Derek's weak display in this pose, I still believe Nick is even weaker, so Nick takes last again here. Don't worry guys, I'm not hating on Nick, he's actually my favorite bodybuilder in the world, but I gotta be honest, and this is the way I see these first 2 poses. In the side chest things change, and I have Derek and Hadi fighting for 3rd and 4th with Derek having the upper hand over the Persian Wolf. Nick fights Samson for 1st place here. It could be argued that Nick wins because of the conditioning, however, I would go with Samson. His chest is best in the world and his overall display is flawless. Next is the back double biceps, and Samson and Hadi fight to avoid last place. It's pretty tight between them if you ask me. Samson has an argument to win, but probably Hadi is slightly better still. Nick fights Derek for that first place, but Derek is just too good in his pose. He's the best in the world by far, so Derek first and Nick second. Next is the back lat spread, and despite Nick improving in this pose drastically, I think both Derek and Hadi are better than him still. So Nick fights Samson for third and he wins, in my opinion. Between Derek and Hadi in this pose, I always preferred Hadi. All four of them look good in the side triceps, and you can find arguments for any of them to be first or last. Derek is probably last, with the other three really being very close. I know I might get a lot of hate, but I have Hadi in third, Samson in second, and Nick Walker first in this one. Thus, Nick Walker wins just his first pose so far with his recent New York Pro physique against the 2022 Olympia first call out. The abs and thighs is next, and there is only one guy who fights for first, and that is Hadi Choopan. However, if Nick's abs looked like, for example, the way they looked at the 2023 Arnold, he would be right there with Hadi in second place. However, his abs and thighs looked way worse than before at the recent New York Pro. His midsection was a bit distended and his abs were not as separated as before. I'm not gonna have Nick in last because I believe Samson is even weaker than him in this pose overall, but I have Derek over Nick, so the mutant takes third only in the abs and thighs. The most muscular is next, and fourth place is obvious, is Derek, but the other three all good fight for first. Samson has the roundness, Hadi has the polish, however Nick pretty much has both. He's rounder and fuller than Hadi and more polished than Samson, thus I would give Nick first place here. Between Hadi and Samson, I'm gonna go with Hadi for second place. Okay, so after looking at all the 8 mandatories, Nick won 2 of them, the side triceps and the most muscular. He finished second in the side chest and the back double biceps. He took third in the back lat spread and the abs and thighs, and fourth in the front double biceps and the front lat spread. That's a good average, and considering he was arguably the most conditioned guy on this stage, he definitely wouldn't be last in this call-out, thus he would have beaten Samson at the Olympia. As far as the top 2 is concerned, with his 2024 New York Pro version, I think it would have been difficult for Nick to challenge Derek and Hadi, mainly because of the midsection. For example, in 2022, Nick's midsection looked way better than here, both Derek and Hadi looked worse than here, and Nick still took third behind both of them. I don't agree with that if you ask me, but that's not the point. The point is that he looks worse now while the other 2 are improved, so no chance the judges would have given him the nod against any of them. So in my opinion, if Nick Walker came in at the 2023 Olympia like he came at the 2024 New York Pro, he would have finished third place.